Hello everyone, I'm Benita Story, and it has been a very long time since I posted a video. In fact, I think it's been like 3.5 years since I posted a video. A lot has happened in those 3.5 years. That's for another video. But this video is about something that I have been working on for a very long time. I wrote a novel. And the novel that I wrote should be published by the time you see it. There will be a link below. But in doing this novel, I wanted to have a very special cover for it. The cover of the novel is an actual quilt that I made. It's 99% handmade. The few machine stitches on there are, my signature is embroidered on, although the outline around it is hand embroidered. The signature's machine embroidered. There's a couple things like the lines around the windows on the cabin and stuff like that that were put on by machine, which if I had thought about it back then, I would have hand done it all. All the rest of it, all the appliquing, all the quilting, everything that you're going to see has been done by hand. And I have to say, I am so stinking proud of this thing. It is the best thing I have ever made in my life. And it's going on a novel that I'm very, very proud to have written. It's mostly, okay, it is a fictional story, but within this fictional story are flashbacks or little stories and vignettes in there that are actually based on real life happenings. In my life, my husband's life, grandparents, great-grandparents, all of these people who've told these stories down the line have been saved up here. And I love family stories. I love hearing them. I love imagining what life would have been like back then. And so in order to keep these stories from being completely forgotten, I interwove all of these stories into parts of the book. Now, some of them are just a tidbit here and there with other things around it so that it fits into the novel, but a lot of them are pretty much straight up on how they were told to me. And I think they were wonderful. I would like to share them, and that's why the novel got written. So, like I said, the novel is published. It's going to be in the detailed descriptions down below. I am working on having an audible version done. I will let you know when that is done. But for now, I have this video showing you from start to finish on how I designed and made the quilt for the cover. Enjoy. First of all, I'm showing you what I created in Photoshop as my basis for the quilt. Now, the design that I did in Photoshop is actual size, so this is a huge bunch of paper taped together and everything. But I wanted to show you at least my concept idea so you can see what my concept started as what it looked like when I was finished. I do want to apologize on one part. I lost the first part of creating this quilt. I had videos of me starting to put everything together. Unfortunately, the thumb drive that I had those videos on got corrupted and I lost them. So you're going to actually see this being picked up partially through it, but we aren't losing a whole lot of it. So anyways, this is the concept of what I wanted to create. One of the things I had issues with trying to create this quilt was how to do the title. I went through several iterations. I was thinking I would just cut the letters out and maybe do black piping around them, and then I realized, you know, I'm making this way too hard, so I just threw this into a file and had it printed on spoon flour. Made it so much easier. As I mentioned, the signature on the bottom corner of the cover of the quilt was machine embroidered because I really didn't think I would be able to do the neatness I wanted for this. Now, the outline around it, the black outline, that's all completely hand embroidered by me. Only because the gold lettering didn't stand out as well as I wanted it to. And this way I can make the signature pop. First of all, I am going to apologize about the quality of several of the photos in here. Because the thumb drive I had corrupted and I lost the files, including the pictures, I actually went out to Instagram and downloaded these pictures so at least I would have something to show you. As you can see, this is the beginning process of me actually starting to applique the pieces down. The fabric with the cows on it is a fabric that I found with cows on it. The barn is completely made by me, and I appliqued that down. The little X in the top window, and I think there's an X in the doors, those were done by machine. Like I said, I wish I had done them by hand, but I started this quilt back in, I think, 2021, and I just wouldn't think of it then. If you look throughout this quilt, there are going to be a little bit of Easter eggs, if you call it, here and there. That little fox laying underneath the tree is one of mine, and I absolutely think he's adorable. I am so glad I added him in. I found him on a little piece of fabric, and I thought, he needs to be in there. The fence around the pasture finally done. I'm really pleased with how this turned out. I was very careful with my spacing, and I wanted to make sure that there was that crossbar there to show you where the gate going from the yard into the barnyard was. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of this. Again, like I mentioned in the intro, the sewing threads or the stitches around the windows, I put those on by machine. Again, I wish I hadn't. And I don't think you can tell it from here. I'm hoping you can tell it later on. The windows is actually a fabric that's kind of sparkles a little bit, because I wanted to make it look like glass. It looks great in person. I don't know how well you can capture it on the quilt though. Since the signature was machine embroidered, I had to have it put on a separate piece of fabric in order to make sure it fit exactly where I wanted it to. I hired someone to do the machine embroidery because I don't have a machine to do that. But by the time it gets quilted in, you really can't tell that it's a separate piece of fabric. The itty bitty applique around the letters and trying to get everything tucked in, that was pretty time consuming. I'm really happy with the way it turned out, but boy did that take me a while to do. And there you have it, the entire title of the book appliqued onto the top. I am so pleased with how this turned out. I don't think I could have done it any better. Everything is appliqued on and ready to be quilted. Again, I am so proud of this thing. There's so many hours worth of work into it, and from concept to here, I'm really pleased how it turned out because it is exactly how I imagined it to be. Of course, getting everything pinned together in order to quilt it was a bit of a challenge too. My cutting table is a 4-foot by 8-foot piece of plywood, basically, or 2 shelves from IKEA put together. So I was very, very careful when I pinned this together. I wanted to make sure I had plenty of pins in there because I didn't want anything to slide while I was working. By the way, the kitty cat that you see here took me an hour and a half to applique him on because he's so tiny, and I had to tuck in everything I could around him, around all those little bitty details. That took me a while, but I'm glad I did because I think he looks great there. When I decided to quilt the yard part, I kind of wanted to do it as if it were like mowing lines. So you're going to see the straight lines going up and down, back and forth. Again, I wanted it to look like someone had just mowed the yard. I realize I might have a rather unorthodox way of quilting, but you have to remember this sometimes had 5 and 6 layers of fabric between the backing, the batting, the fabric that was underneath that held it all together, plus all of the fabric on top of it. There was absolutely no way I could do a traditional way of quilting on this, which is the rocking back and forth with a needle.
In order for me to keep it neat and make sure it went through all of the layers, I had to do basically a stab and punch method, which actually is how my grandmother used to quilt. So for me, this is familiar. I'll let you just enjoy watching the process as I did this. I will say I enjoyed every minute of it. In order to make sure this was well quilted, every cow was actually quilted around. When you come to it, you're going to see every cloud is actually quilted around. The trees, everything, because I wanted to make sure the quilt was a good quilt that stayed together. I think the quilting around the clouds looks really, really nice. It kind of makes the clouds look puffy, which clouds should look puffy. By the way, the car you see here is actually the car I owned at the time I was making the quilt. I took a picture of it, again, sent it to Spoonflower and had it printed off, and there you go, my car. And here you go, the finished quilt. I really enjoyed trying to find all the buttons that I wanted for this quilt. I mean, between chickens and birds and vegetables and all the stuff that I thought would be fun for this quilt. It took me a while to find them. Most of them I got off of Etsy, but I think they really, really added a great touch.
Now that you've seen how the quilt was made and what it looks like, I want to throw a couple of things out to you. I would love for you to go out and read the novel and give it a review on Amazon. If you have a book club, let me know, and I might be able to get the books to the members of the book club at a discount, depending on how many members there are. But thank you for being along with me on this journey. Thank you for letting me share this all with you, and I hope you all have a fine day. Thank you. Bye-bye.